In 2014, when the Maidan coup happened, because I can't call it a revolution, those people that were aware of colored revolutions historically knew exactly what was going on. We knew exactly who needs this sort of a movement and who is standing behind this sort of a movement. But this short intro of a video is not about politics. This short intro and the interview that will follow is more about feelings. And what I felt in 2014 is I realized that no matter how far and for how long you are absent from the land that you were born on, you sort of get this metaphysical feeling, this longing that something is going on. It's like a warning sign, warning bells that ring off in your head that something is happening to your people and your land. And it's this internal anxiety. And this internal anxiety only grew stronger in 2022 when the conflict grew into an international scale. And for the first couple of weeks, I didn't know what was happening with me internally. I was ready to pack my bags. I couldn't sleep at night. I was internally fighting myself, trying to, you know, my inner critic was telling me, you're not a man, you need to go, you need to help. Even though, again, I knew what was going on, but this strong yearning to be helpful was so present. So in the first couple of days, I sat down, I wrote 3 songs to kind of get my feelings out. And then this idea came to my head that I wanted to find a person from Donbass that could relate to us Western Ukrainians and us in America. Their personal story could sincerely tell us what they have lived through. I wanted to find someone that possibly doesn't yet have anger and hatred towards the Ukrainian side or American side. And I don't know, call it divine intervention. One day on YouTube, this video pops up of this young man. He spoke pure Ukrainian, like better than we do in Western Ukraine. And this guy would spend endless hours throughout the day, 10, 11, 12 hours, trying to communicate with Western Ukrainians, trying to relate to them that, look, we are one people. Please hear my story. Please realize that you may have been lied to. And I was so overtaken. I was like, wow, the thoughts that I had, the person that I envisioned actually exists. So I wrote to him a comment, and I didn't have the Ukrainian or Russian keyboard, so I wrote in English letters but Ukrainian. And I think he replied to me. He said something, but we lost communication. And in the past 2 years, this young man has grown into one of the biggest Russian/Ukrainian YouTubers on the front lines of information, if you will. And 2 years later, he finally agreed to sit down with me for an interview. So just like this little intro, and just like I mentioned before, this interview is not about politics. This interview is a story of someone that has survived the terrible war and conflict since 2014. This is his first-hand account of what happened. So to everyone that's going to watch it, I translated the video myself. It's almost as literal as it can get. I just want you to have an open heart when you watch this, and just realize that it's not about this man being a YouTuber or a political activist. It's his personal story and atrocities that he had to face since 2014. So I wish that all of you enjoy this because it has been a long time coming. Thank you for your attention.
Good afternoon. You are on Prove to Me That You're Alive podcast. Today, I have a guest. Andrey, if you don't mind, I would like to make a little intro. 2 years ago, I had an idea to find a person from Donbass and who could tell all of us, Ukrainian speaking people and people in America, to tell us what exactly they have survived. And I got so lucky to find Andrey Gorlovsky. We call it in English divine intervention. When I found Andrey, the biggest thing that I liked about him, that I seen that he was sincere and he was spending his personal time to bring to people his own truth and open eyes of people in Western Ukraine and us in America to tell us things that maybe we don't see and maybe mass media doesn't bring. And in 2 years now, Andrey Horivsky agreed to sit down with us. So good afternoon, Andrey.
Добрый день.
Hey, how you doing? Andrey, thank you so much. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from?
Я понял.
I got you.
Меня зовут Андрей.
My name is Andrei,
Прожил
and I was born and raised in Horlivka practically my whole life.
из города выезжал.
I left out of the city, but I left for a little bit,
Лет, съездил
to
8.
go on vacation or go visit some
Все
people.
время
But
прожил.
practically my whole life, I've been in Horlivka.
Потом, когда началась
And then after the war started in Donbass,
и
for the
17-18 год.
first remaining time, I was in Horlivka, but in 2017 and 2018, there were no jobs around, so I left to Moscow. I got invited to work. I was working there,
Из Москвы.
and then after Moscow, I went to Crimea. I really liked it,
Вернулся
but
в
then I
Donbass.
went back to Donbass, to Horlivka,
Ну, периодически приезжал.
and I lived there,
В Крыму.
and now I am in Crimea.
Не очень
I studied not so well in school,
был техникум у меня.
but then I went to secondary school.
Знаю математику.
Math I studied. I didn't really study that well, but then I went into university for the same profession, but I didn't study that well. And then I worked because my parents couldn't afford. They told me right away, if you want to study in higher education, you're gonna have to help us. So I went to work and studied part-time. I worked everywhere, from warehouse stockpiling, and I ran a little store. Well, basically that's it.